The meat safe. Our family never got a refrigerator until sometime in the late 60s. As most of our food was always bought fresh anyway, there was never much call for the fridge. We did, however, have a meat safe. This was basically a wooden cupboard with fine wire mesh front and sides, and was designed more to keep the flies off the meat rather than to keep it cool. It was kept in the bottom of the pantry, which was probably the coolest spot in our house anyway. All of our meat, the joint, sausages, bacon, etc., was stored in here. In all the years that it was used, I can't ever remember our meat going off in this contraption. I think it eventually became a rabbit hutch. Best butter. As kids in 50s Swalwell, the best you could ever expect to get in your bread was margarine, except that is on Sundays, when out would come the best butter. I can remember buying this for my mother the day before. It was stored in the grocery stores in large wooden barrels, and the shopkeeper would cut it with a wire and wrap it for you in greaseproof paper. No pre-packing then. The best butter would be served up with bread for our Sunday tea, and it was forbidden to put anything else on your bread when the best butter was used. I remember the beautiful creamy taste and rich yellow colour, much different from the butter sold today. It was a treat, and Sunday was the only day we were allowed to have it. Where did it go? The club trip. I don't think they are held anymore, but the annual club trip was one of the most awaited events in Swalwell up until the mid-60s anyway. Most kids never really got out of the village much. Even a shopping trip to Newcastle 4 miles away was an adventure, so the club trip was something special. The village would empty on the day of the trip, and whole families would converge on Swalwell Station to take the special train to Tynemouth, Cullercoats or Whitley Bay, whichever was the chosen destination for the day. Going to the beach may seem like nothing these days, but that one day would be talked about for weeks. Our mothers would spend the previous evening preparing sandwiches and other nibbles, which would be complemented by fish and chips at the beach. I don't know why, but they always tasted better there. Our clothes would be prepared, nearly always a new T-shirt and shorts, and our sand shoes would be painted white. We were spick and span when we turned out for the event. The steam train would normally take about an hour and a half to reach the coast, about 13 miles away, and the ride was an exciting part of the day. Once at the beach, fathers and elder brothers would disappear to the nearest pub. Mothers would rent the deck chairs and tents for changing clothes, and then spend the rest of the day sunbathing and nattering with the groups they were in. The kids would head straight for the sea or to the rocks to collect shells and crabs. Later, we would get money from our parents to go to the Spanish City in Whitley Bay or the Tynemouth Amusement Arcade. A great day would be had by all, and we would return home with our candy rock and souvenirs, tired, sunburned, but still excited from the great day out we had had. A few years ago, I spent 3 months touring the US and a further 3 months touring Europe. They couldn't compare to the feeling I had when I went on a club trip. The school board man. I don't know if they still exist, but up until the 60s at least, one of the most feared officials for school kids was the school board man. The role of this gentleman was to wander the streets looking for kids who were playing truant, or playing the wag as we used to say. In the 50s and 60s in Swalwell, the school board man was a gentleman called Mr. Foster. A short, bald, bespectacled and bemoustached character in a Burberry raincoat, Foster would lurk round corners waiting to pounce on unsuspecting truants. If caught, you were generally dragged by the ear to your parents, who would be lectured to by Foster on the erring ways of truants, with a warning to ensure that you attended school. On many occasions, Foster would be spotted in the distance, and we would run like hell to ensure that he didn't catch us. He never did chase us, but would yell after us that he would get us the next time. He often did. Foster disappeared sometime in the 60s and was never replaced. Does anyone else remember him?